why are you here tonight? Why are you here watching this? Why are you watching this video? And my experience of why people come to watch my content is often because they are frustrated in their creative endeavors for some reason. Whether that's they can't find the time to do it, or there's kind of blockages in the way, there are so many things going on in their life that it's just so busy, but also maybe there's a little voice inside their head that's kind of taking them down a peg or two, making them not kind of confident in their skills, in their talent, in their ability, or that it's not a worthwhile pursuit. It's a waste of time, or it's not for something that's going to like pay the bills. You're here because you're feeling frustrated creatively, and you want to move on. You know that there must be a way forward, because you see people who are making time, making the connections, and pushing into their creativity. They're putting out music, they're putting their photos up, they're having them printed, making books, selling them, writing books, writing scripts, having those put in front of publishers and directors, and having things actually made and put out into the world. And you feel there's something there for you as well, but you haven't been able to make it happen. I'm here to help. That's the premise of this channel, and that's what I do as a creative guide. I help people to nurture those projects through to creation, and sometimes that's over a long period of time. Often it takes that long because we have these voices in our head that are running us down and telling us that maybe it's not worthwhile. Okay, let's just straight into it. Understanding creative blockages. Okay, there are so many ways in which we can get blocked up around creativity, but I'm just going to jump into a couple of them that I see quite regularly. Okay, so the first one is the gear and learning loop. Okay, so if you're interested in a field where particularly there's a lot of gear, so I'm thinking photography, video, music, where there's new gear coming out all the time. And if you were in music, last weekend was a gear fest. Everyone was at Superbooth in Berlin, and all the companies were releasing new products, and YouTube is blown up about it. So they're all trying to vie for our attention and tell us that the latest, greatest, newest piece of kit is going to solve all our studio and music making issues, and maybe that's what we need. And somewhere along the way, we kind of buy into that. And then it's also closely connected to like the learning loop. So if I was to learn a new product or take another course on the software that I use, or dive into a new modality of like playing keys or piano, or maybe learning a new technique in painting, or stepping into a new area, a new realm of, maybe I'll learn, I'll go back to class for drawing, for watercolor. Or it might be that you take another writing course, whether that's online, whether that's in person. We just continually go, I need another thing for me to be complete, so that I'm ready to make a start and to make a move. And while there's some merit in there, a lot of this is actually it's procrastination. It's not realizing that we have potentially put years into building the skills and building up the toolkit to be able to make the work now. And I've said it before, but often when you go to art school or you go to music school, everything is reduced back to the fundamentals, pared back to the basics. And that's part of what we can do ourselves to help us get over this. It's really interesting. The video I put up on Tuesday, myself and my friend Paul were at a gig Rival Consoles was playing, and I took the photo that's on the thumbnail just with my iPhone, and I only took 3 photos. I actually think it's a really good shot. He was like, oh my goodness, that's an amazing photo. Like, how did you do that? And I think sometimes we can really overcomplicate how simple it is for us to engage in our practice and get something worthwhile out of it. I love that photo. I'm probably going to print it up. And I just think there's something really simple. It just captures a moment. It captures the vibe of that evening. And I just shot it with my iPhone. Really basic. But I think with years of using cameras and understanding how to frame things and the lighting and all those things, I'm like, okay, I was able to grab that. And I didn't need to bring a big camera and lenses and everything. And I think that there's just sometimes it's helpful to go back to basics and think about that. And in the same way with writing, a pen and a piece of paper, and using simple words or short paragraphs if you're used to writing long paragraphs, or vice versa, to just flip things around as opposed to getting into, I need all this editing software and I need all these plugins to make the music. Often something that's good will sound good even if it's just basic. Maybe that's just on a piano, or maybe that's just line drawing with pencil or a pen. Maybe that's back to just using a really restricted palette of colors if you're painting. And that can just be a really good way to start freeing us up to be able to move on and move forward. That's one of the blockages. Okay. And then another one that I've seen a lot is failed attempts at scheduling things. And I think this comes down to, I think there's a lot of reasons for this. So you think, okay, Saturday morning, I'm going to make this time, I'm going to do it. But inevitably something else pops up and can get in the way. Some sort of maybe family issue or emergency, maybe one of the kids is sick and you need to help them. Maybe you forgot to do something and you got to run around and do that. And that time can easily get eaten away at. And I think that's, and I think that in our busy lives, it can be really, things can slip and slide and we need to be able to be flexible, and that's one of the things that I see happening again and again. People come back like, oh, I didn't make it to that and this didn't happen and, oh, I didn't get to that. And I think there's some fundamental things going on there, that we can talk about. But what I really wanted to share, this idea is what I believe. Okay. And if you signed up for my email list, you know that I've called it Space for Creativity. And I've been working through a kind of a framework to be able to create an environment about space for creativity. And I'm just using this as an environmental idea of here's space. And in this case, I've got 5 fundamental things that I think we can try and practice. It's not as simple as just making a calendar appointment for ourselves, because we get there and then we're tired, we're distracted, our equipment's not ready, it's not plugged in, and by the time it is, and by the time we're set up, it can just feel like you've lost any spontaneity or any moment there. So I just want to offer this kind of framework, and it's just the idea that one of the first things we can try to know, these are in an order because this is how space is spelled, but you don't have to action these in any particular order. But the first, the S is going to stand for sanctuary. So making some space. This can be mentally, physically, emotionally. It can be about getting up early in the morning and writing in your journal and starting to unpack a little bit of what's going on in your head. And that in itself is a creative act because you're putting pen to paper, getting away from your phone, making some time just for you. Because all of these things kind of layer up as a foundation, a scaffolding around your creativity to allow it to happen. There's lots of different ways you can do that. It could just be that you actually create a physical space, and set a corner up, or you've got a little, I've seen people with little wheelie trolleys that they can pull out, a while ago I actually had a little setup over here. Now we've had people to stay, so it flexes, it moves in and out, but I have a little thing set up on my desk right now, so I can turn around and make some music as well. In fact, that was what was playing at the top of the stream. So that's Sanctuary. The next one, I'm just going to fly through these. I'm actually going to potentially do a longer workshop around this so there's more clarity around it. The next thing I'm going to suggest is that you play. So you lower the barrier to entry. You lower the potential risk, the potential for things failing. You just give yourself a pass. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming to have fun. You're aiming to engage in it and to enjoy it, to kind of feel what it's like. Those, the first moments when you start to feel things flowing and connecting. It's easier to get to that place if you're playing, if you're enjoying it, and you're committed to enjoying it. So that could be just setting aside a small amount of time, like maybe 15 minutes, making sure that you're free of obligations and you're not committing to, I'm going to write my book in this 15 minutes, or I'm going to finish my album. It's not like that at all. It's just, I'm going to try a couple of things. Because in my experience of creativity, it's all of those elements where we're trying, we're testing, we're playing, what happens if I do this and then this? I've never tried that before. Or what happens if I try something completely different? And being able to play allows you to reduce the immediacy of having to connect it to an outcome. The only outcome you're looking to do is to have fun, is to play, is to get in there and actually do it. And you're starting to build up a habit of what it can look like to be creative and to be on top of it. Okay, if you've watched any of my videos, that attention is one of the most powerful things, and it's the piece that everyone's fighting for at the moment. Everyone's fighting for your attention, the attention of your eyeballs. You are passing thousands of ads a day, whether that's on the side of trucks, buses, bus stops, whether that's flashing up on your phone, whether it's branding on an app or on the products that we wear. We're being advertised to, and people are trying to draw our attention all day long. And it is possibly the main currency at the moment. And that's why our phones are so beautiful and flashy, and the scroll is so addictive, because they're vying for your attention. But where you put your attention as an artist, as a creative, is really important. If you're able to reclaim some of that attention and point it in the direction of something worthwhile, so reading a good book, going on a trip to an art gallery, going to a gig, spending time listening to music, or appreciating the art that's around you that you can access. And that's why I've created the Space for Creativity Starter Kit. The Digital Detox video in there is just some helpful steps in how to put down your phone and to make more space, and to point that attention at things that are going to inspire you and not trigger you, to engage your creativity and not just have you forwarding memes to a friend. So I think attention is super important for us to think about at the moment. C is for connection. And that connection is connecting to other artists, connecting in collaborative ways, connecting to mentors, or being able to connecting in a wider community of people that you share a practice with, because then you can find either collaborators or people to inspire you, but you can also find a way to just rethink how you do what you do, but also know that there are people out there doing it, and it's important, and it's valuable and viable, and then the last one I've got down here is the idea that as we rotate through these modes, that we eventually elevate ourselves, that it's a chance for us to grow, to step up, to work at a new level. So it's almost like a spiral. It's cyclical. It keeps bringing us back around and helping us to think on higher levels and to focus on new things. And I think that's really important, that we're able to think that through and to do that. I actually have a playlist on my channel, and I've gone into each of these in depth in there. So go have a watch of the playlist if you haven't seen them all before. And I'd love to hear in the comments if you've got any thoughts on any of those ideas, if you've tried any of them, and if any of them were useful to you, or you know that there's an area there that you struggle to connect to.